failure? Absolutely.
It's a little bit harsh.
But you know what that makes you. Just like everyone else.
I'm not supposed to be like everyone else, am I?
Everyone fails at who they're supposed to be, Thor. The measure of a person, of a hero, is how well they succeed at being who they are.
Hey everyone, and depending on what time you're watching this video, good morning, afternoon, and evening to you all. If you enjoy movies as much as I do, you've probably stumbled across something referred to as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU. You know those movies that have the gravity-defying action scenes, over-reliant CG sequences, misplaced quirky jokes, and shirtless shots of our hottest heroes? No? Doesn't ring any bells? Well, that's okay, because I'm going to talk about those movies anyways, because I'm a nerd and I love comic book films, but not all of them, of course. And as much as I'd like to talk about other Marvel films that are super awesome, I will only concentrate on the MCU for this video essay, as there's already quite a lot to unpack within this library of 23 films. So, let's get started. What should we talk about when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What makes them so successful and relevant in this modern era? Is it their money-making business formula, their philosophical character dynamics, or those fabulous costumes they put on display? Well, yes and no. While all those reasons have contributed to the MCU's success, I think there's something deeper and greater in the soul of these movies that makes us want to watch them again and again. Like most great movies, the purpose isn't primarily to keep people entertained to make a boatload of money, it's to send a message. Usually disguised in a fantastical setting with magical creatures, these messages try to present a valuable lesson with relatable consequences that make us reflect on the importance of our everyday life decisions. This was done in the past with Tales of the Brothers Grimm and Aesop's Fables, and is present in modern stories such as Harry Potter and Star Wars. So what's the message here? What is Marvel trying to teach us, and why does it have to be done over a span of 20 plus movies? Seeing as I don't have access to the writer's room or the executive's office, I can't confidently say I know what the lesson is that Marvel is trying to convey, and I'm not the journalistic type either who's willing to read through every one of Kevin Feige's interviews to search for an answer. Rather, I'll take the fun route as an audience member and simply interpret what I learned over the course of these movies, and the common theme that ties them all together, which is why I've titled this video, Marvel, A Lesson in Growth. From the beginning to the end of the Infinity Saga, we see nearly everything grow, starting with the complexity of the universe in which the story is told, to the number of Avengers that fight on screen, and the magnitude of conflict that our characters endure. The universe is constantly evolving, presenting new problems and challenges for our heroes, and whether they succeed or not depends on their ability to grow and evolve with the circumstances they face. Let's look at Iron Man, for example, the first of our heroes to pop up on screen. Tony lives in a world, very much like our own, where nothing fantastical happens outside his own imagination. He has every desire at his disposal, the money, the fame, the women, until his life is put in danger. He is in unfamiliar territory, and he is given the choice to either live another day by helping the enemy, or die a wounded man in pain and agony. Tony Stark, a man of intellectual prowess, does neither. Instead, he uses his tenacity and wit to build himself the most badass suit imaginable in a cave with a box of scraps. He survives, reflects, and finds his newfound purpose. No longer driven by money, his goal, above all else, is to protect the world at all costs.
I am Iron Man.
A great story with a happy ending, but it proves to be only the beginning. See, as Tony grows and evolves, so too do his challenges. Not only do his physical enemies become stronger and smarter, but his inner demons, notably his broken relationships and fragile ego, haunt his everyday life to the point he is tortured both on the outside and inside. His world becomes more complex, as the universe he thought he knew so well surprises him with alien invaders and otherworldly superheroes he's not sure he can trust. Even when Tony does learn to become more selfless and contribute as a teammate, his fears and anxieties lead him to make costly mistakes that hinder the progress he's made. When others don't create conflict for him, he is unconsciously creating conflict for himself. Recognizing his shortcomings, he believes he can still save the world by offering his ingenious talents, but the decision-making should no longer be his to control. He offers this philosophy to his superhero counterparts, believing his situation to not only be unique to himself. However, this again creates conflict, and thus Tony is still stuck in the paradigm of solving one problem but creating another. He is growing, but he is also being challenged, not only by his enemies, his past, and his environment, but also by his friends. He is forced to face his beliefs and question if what he is doing, what he is fighting for, is worth all the trouble. Before he can find the answers, he is faced with his biggest test yet, the ultimate supervillain he has been fearing for all these years. While this should be his opportunity to shine and prove his worth, he is instead left beaten and powerless, in nearly the same place where his journey began. So what does Tony do with his second chance? What does he do when he needs to start all over? 5 years later, we find Tony has everything he could ever desire: a loving wife, an adorable daughter, and peace away from the conflict that has haunted his entire life. His journey of growth has led him to lose in some places, but win in others. However, his comfort is again challenged when he is faced with another opportunity to save the world, but quite possibly at the expense of losing everything he has gained. At this point, Tony is no stranger to challenge, and he knows what he must do. While he values his family above everything else, his purpose remains the same, to save the world at all costs. Tony is clear and focused at this point. He applies the lessons he's learned to balance confidence in his decision-making while following the leadership of his peers and overcome his inner demons to make the ultimate sacrifice. His growth was not easy, his challenges were numerous, and while he wasn't a perfect man, he was, without a doubt, a hero. The amazing thing is, this narrative could almost be applied to any of our MCU stars. Captain America, Thor, Spider-Man, the Guardians, they all face both inner and outer conflicts that you think are resolved in one movie, only to resurface later at a much higher magnitude. It seems that the reward for being a hero isn't necessarily paradise in the Bahamas, but rather satisfaction in looking at your own reflection and seeing a better person there than was there yesterday. It's unfortunate that the path to growth and perfection means overcoming constant fear, anxiety, and anger, but that's kind of what Marvel is trying to show us with these movies. That our heroes are no different than us, that they have the same self-doubts, broken relationships, and frustrations that we encounter every day as normal people. We can choose to be heroes or villains, and that choice is based on our willingness to grow. But Doug, you might be asking, does our willingness to grow really determine whether we're a hero or a villain? As far as I know, all the villains in the MCU are the ones who want to create change. They're the ones that are tired of the status quo, forcing everyone else, including our heroes, to grow up and accept a new reality. Good point, casual YouTube observer, but read back what you just said. Yes, the villains want to create change, but change and growth are not necessarily the same. While it is not possible to grow without change, it is possible to change without growth. Let me ask you this, do our villains want to grow, like on an emotional, spiritual level? Not really. They do not want to create change within themselves, but rather they want to impose change on others. They're not willing to go through the pains of growth to become better people, though they are willing to go through other types of pain to achieve their goals. While hard work and sacrifice should be admired, its direction should equally always be questioned. Perhaps that might be the biggest indicator of growth, choosing to change yourself instead of others, following the path of the 3 growth stages. Every path has an origin, where like our Marvel heroes we discover our potential, the strength and skills that make us unique. It doesn't have to be super intelligence, super strength, or super coolness either. It can simply be our hobbies, likes, or passions that make us who we are and who we want to be.
What are we, a team? No, we're a chemical mixture that makes chaos. We're a time bomb.
You need to step away. Why shouldn't the guy let off a little steam?
You know damn well why. Back off.
Oh, I'm starting to want you to make me.
Once we have a basic understanding of ourselves and our purpose, we move on to the next phase of our growth where we encounter division, deconstructing what we know to have a deeper understanding of what it is we truly believe in. This division can be in the form of a direct conflict such as a rival or obstacle, or it can simply be in working together with others, like in a marriage. We use our strengths initially to take care of our partner, make them feel loved and cared for, fulfilling what we know to be our purpose. But eventually we are confronted with our weaknesses which we may not have even known existed before. When both partners realize their shortcomings and are willing to grow and adapt, they are able to forge an even stronger relationship and lay the foundation for the next phase of growth.
Avengers! Assemble.
You construct, deconstruct, and then reconstruct to not only grow, but even surpass what you previously thought was your potential, creating a better version of yourself than you could have ever done alone. The challenges you encountered along the way may have almost killed you, but you are all the more stronger because of it. Let's look at Black Widow for example. For the longest time we all thought her role in the Avengers was minimal, that she only served as a female side character with super secret spy skills that otherwise paled in comparison to the rest of our manly superheroes. However, we see with time that Natasha's dedication to the Avengers team is actually one of the most admirable, and because of that she actually grows from a sex symbol to a mother figure. In Civil War, she is the only Avenger who switches sides, not because she wants to save her own butt or join a winning side, but because she sees both sides, she understands both sides, and she's trying to save both sides to salvage the family. In facing the division and choosing to grow, Black Widow is able to see past the issues dividing the team and focus on the bigger picture, being the rock that keeps his family grounded in times of turmoil. While her screen time is short, her growth throughout the MCU is nothing short of remarkable, which is what makes it all the more painful when she sacrifices herself for the sake of the Soul Stone. While I could go on about each character's story arc and get lost in a million tangents, let's refocus and get back to the MCU's original message, which is, our superheroes are no different than us. They face problems just like we face problems every day, and there are certainly times when we feel like our problems are otherworldly, that we are the only ones alone in the universe facing these problems and that no one else can help us. But that's not true. Many have faced the same inner and outer conflicts as us, perhaps at different magnitudes in different environments, but we can all learn to overcome those obstacles together. And as Marvel also likes to point out, our superheroes aren't flawless. They make mistakes, but that doesn't make them any less of a hero, because they are willing to learn from their shortfalls to rise up and become a better person. If we lived in a black and white world where we automatically pushed people aside based on their past without having hope that they can change for the future, then we could be missing out on our next Valkyrie or T'Challa because we simply never gave them a second chance. Everyone makes mistakes, but only heroes learn to grow from those mistakes to make a better tomorrow. We all have powers and we all have flaws. There will always be problems, but there will always be solutions too. We can accomplish a lot by ourselves, but a lot more together. There will be doubters who will question whether or not we are good enough, including ourselves. But at the end of the day, we know that our greatness does not come from our fame, fortune, or power. Instead, it is from our willingness to accept change and grow to be better, which is the ultimate message of Marvel, a lesson in growth.